What's going on YouTube? That's it, TZ here, just doing another video. This is a response video to iSpy's contest. He just wanted a basic information um, video to qualify for his contest. Um, I picked up this magazine a couple of weeks ago, and what caught my eye was the top title here, and it says Gas Piston ARs, Why They Suck. If you want to go, and I recommend that if you are a reader of tactical firearms or you like these type of magazines, that you go pick this one up if you haven't already. It's by Guns and Ammo, and it's presented by Surefire. And the name of the magazine is Combat Tactics. And I'll just, pull out so you can see it a little bit, kind of see what it looks like. It's got a Kodak Precision 1911 on the front. The article can be found on page 38. The name of it is called Hot Air. Basically, this author goes into how a direct impingement system works and how a piston system works. Most of you already know how an impingement system works and how a gas piston system works. He kind of shows you here. This is a direct impingement system on how the gas travels down the barrel and is then redirected back into the receiver. Um, and if you go over here onto the next page, he looks at a piston system. This is basically a halfway cut of a barrel. This is the barrel right here. This is the operating rod and the piston system on top. Um, the author is partial to direct impingement systems. And recently I have been. I was going to change my Bushmaster XM15 to a drop-in Bushmaster piston system. Um, Not because I read this article, but a few months ago I decided that I was not going to do that. Um, but to keep the video short and sweet, I'll just go to the end here, and the author gets into his comparisons of um, why he thinks the impingement system is better than the piston system. Now, this is not my personal preference. This does not cover the Bushmaster ACR or the FN Scar or rifles built from the ground up around a piston system. This covers the piston drop-in system or the manufactured piston of the AR platform. And by that I mean like an LWRC or the Smith & Wesson new MMP15 PS, which is a piston system. Um, he believes that the impingement systems are slightly better, and he goes into into his rant here. Um, Carrier tilt, and that's something that you're going to experience with a piston system. That's basically where the op rod is not hitting the gas key in the proper way and causing the bolt and carrier to tilt a little bit in the back end, and which can cause fouling of your upper and lower receiver, which is not good. He goes into proprietary parts. He says basically you can't get the only place you can get replacements for your piston system is from the manufacturer. So say for instance you have an Adams Arms piston kit, you're shooting, the operating rod breaks. Where are you going to get the operating rod from a new one? Adams Arms. Hopefully they have them in stock. You can't just go get an Adams Arm piston op rod from anywhere. Bravo Company doesn't carry those. You'll have to get it from Adams Arms, basically. It goes into incremental improvement, and that's where he kind of gives the piston system praise, and saying that since the original, since some of the first piston systems have come out, they have gotten better. They're making improvements to them. Still not enough to convert him into a piston god. Turd polishing, basically the parts, the machining of piston operating rods, bolt assemblies are not mil spec, and there really is no way, there's no standard for that. So some of these companies are putting together crap piston systems and then selling them for $200 or $300. They're breaking, and then they're having to replace the operating rods or whatever, the bolt or carrier assembly or something like that. He then goes into weight. Of course, the piston system is going to weigh a little bit more um, in comparison to the impingement hollow tube. Um, you need to have a good steel in order to get that reliability out of your piston system. That gas has a lot of force behind it, and if you're not using quality metals in your AR, eventually they're going to break. They're going to fail you. Um, so what these companies do is they make their operating rods a little bit larger, so they tend to be a little bit heavier. And then he goes into cost. And this is not the basis of the whole article. I would recommend reading the entire article before you develop an opinion. Um, then he goes into cost. A lot of your newer piston ARs, some of them, I've actually seen a couple that are running for about $1,000. I was actually looking on Palmetto State Armory just a second ago, and the M&P 15, the new gas piston rifle that they have is selling for $1,000. Um, but in that, take for instance an LWRC or something like that, you're going to pay an upwards of $2,000 for one of those piston manufacturer systems where the gun is piston operated. Um, Whereas it says here you could probably get two Colts for the same price as the LWRC. Now, from what I've seen, me personally, when I go into a gun store and look at a Colt and I look at a Bushmaster, they're both impingement systems. Their parts are not quite the same as far as their mil spec. A Colt is a complete mil spec rifle, while a Bushmaster doesn't use a lot of mil spec parts. The Colt usually costs around $1,500–$1,600. Now that's my experience. I don't know what you guys have experienced. Whereas I can get an XM15 for $1,000. But it's saying in here that you can get two Colts for the price of a brand new gas piston rifle. Um, so that's also up for debate. And these are just some things that, just some things that he basically goes over in the article. He covers, but he goes a little bit more in depth into it. So that's pretty much it. That's now. Me personally, I'm an impingement fan. Like I said before, I was gonna put a drop-in Bushmaster piston kit system or a retrofit system on this AR platform, but since then have decided not to. Um, I've become a big fan. This upper alone, it's had over 6,000 rounds through it. Um, Only thing I can tell you is that the gun don't like wolf, and I think that has to do with the impingement system, since it's a shorter gas system than my mid-limb system, which will take wolf ammo and eat it fine. This system does not really like wolf ammo. But that's pretty much it, man. That's really all I wanted to talk about. It's kind of a random thrown together video, but to my subscribers, and I know a couple of you guys own piston rifles, how do you feel about the piston versus the direct impingement system? What are your experiences? Because I know some of you guys have both. You've got a piston and a direct impingement. What do you prefer? What do you like more about the piston system? What do you like more about the impingement system? I'd like to know those things, because at some point in time, I think, I will go with the piston system. But that's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I can't wait to see your comments, and I hope that you have a safe and happy holiday. Peace.